by film.
Five,
Stand by music.
4,
Stand by announce.
3, 2, 1.
And fade up.
Fish are friends, not food.
Make it Centauri time.
Too much iron in your blood.
Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? Hey, what happened? Let's fly!
Let's get pissed and watch porn.
Hello, you got a base.
Are you saying there's something wrong with my gear?
We're going streaking!
He found me!
He's doing his Superman thing.
I still only counts as one!
Why is the rum always cold?
Welcome, everyone, to our very special and very annual Christmas episode of 20 Years, 4 Beers. We are a podcast dedicated to re-watching movies from at least 2 decades ago, while simultaneously enjoying a minimum of 4 modern beers. My name is Steve, and this is my big brother,
Tim,
and we are coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. On this episode, we are going to be re-watching a modern Christmas classic in 2003's Elf. Thankfully, a nice short title. Since last time we recorded together, it was Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. And next time is The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. So it's a nice Elf. Here we go. Thanks, Will. Before we jump in, though, we typically discuss some more modern choices that we have watched recently, either TV or film. And I do think we have a few to mention here. And one that I'm sure we'll talk about the most. Mm-hmm. So we'll finish with that one.
Yep.
Do you have others before that, or do you want me to go first?
You can go first, because I don't know that I have anything of note.
So I will say just this week I started watching The Bear, and it is outstanding. Mm-hmm. It is, it's very good. Anyone who's recommended it to me in the past, you were right. I knew I would probably like it, but sometimes you just gotta start.
Yeah.
100% not a comedy, but it's so good because like Ted Lasso, once you buy into the characters, it might not be traditionally funny, but what they're saying, because you have bought into these characters, is funny.
Gotcha.
Right? Like, so the situation might be funny because you know the characters so well, not necessarily because it's a relatable, awkward situation. It's not a drama though either. Like it's there are dramatic parts, but it's not over there. So I would recommend it. I think it's the best thing on TV right now. Obviously watched Oppenheimer again recently. So go check out our reactions episode for that. If you hadn't watched it, go
Holds
back
up.
to that.
That's so good.
Holds up and then some.
Oh, I did watch something.
Well, I got one more.
Sorry. Yes. Okay.
I did watch Alexander Payne's The Holdovers. Excuse me.
Holdovers.
With Paul Giamatti.
Yes.
What's
it streaming on?
Plex.
Okay, sorry. I was like,
it is totally legally streaming on.
It's streaming on.
It's
also
for sale out there, and I might buy it at some point. But how I watched it and how,
it's a sharing service. It's just streaming, sharing. It's just
It's not my streaming. It's not
true.
It's not mine. So if I ever get busted, it's not me.
That's great.
Sorry,
hold on.
The word I keep seeing a lot out there is like delightful, or like just just energetic and wonderful, and these like all these adjectives, and they're right. Like it may well be a future holiday classic film.
Wow.
Like, because it takes place at Christmas. This is where Paul Giamatti is this sort of like curmudgeonly teacher at this private school. And there's always a few kids who stay back because their parents are gone or whatever. And so they're the holdovers. So they stick around with a skeleton crew of just like one cook. And they, do this. And he ends up with initially 4 or 5 kids. And then it gets whittled down to 1 for a reason. And it's just one of those, like, it's not laugh out loud funny, although there are funny parts, and it's not super dramatic, although there are times you cry for sure. It just finds that nice middle, and I think Alexander Payne does a really good job at doing that.
Sure.
But in the past, and we talked about this with About Schmidt, it gets kind of quirky for quirky's sake.
Yes.
Now, I think The Descendants is a masterpiece of a film, in my opinion. And I think it's Payne's best because it does that. There's the nice balance of funny moments, but then not like awkward things or Kathy Bates being naked.
Yeah.
Like I just, this is so good. It is just one of those.
Cool.
Yeah. So you're going to definitely hear Divine Joy Randolph come Oscar time as well. She's the supporting actress nominee that'll be potentially a winner.
Oh, cool.
What do you got?
Oh, I was Ellen and I finished season 3 of Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, I have yet to finish it. I have been told to finish it.
It is worth it.
Okay, the back half is better than the front half?
It is.
So I was bored for most of the front half.
It's the weakest of all 3.
Okay.
And I agree. The first half, like, it's worth it at the end.
All right.
But the build-up is like, yikes, guys. But it's as it finishes, it's like, okay, I'm so happy with the 3 of them as they work together. But yeah, it's the weakest, but it's worth it.
Good.
Yeah.
And then
we were able to talk recently, but I finally got around to seeing Barbie. And you had seen it when it came out.
No, when it came out on video.
Yeah, sorry. That's true. Earlier. But
still,
had finally got around to it.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about it.
Sure. What do you got?
I can see why it made $1.5 billion. It's hard to describe, in my view, how good it is.
Yeah.
In terms of a movie like that living up to the hype.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something you go, I can't really be that good. It's better than I could have anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to watch it again. And I'll talk more in depth a little bit, but right off the bat, it's so effing good.
Yeah.
I'm flat out amazed by it.
Yeah. It's a great top to bottom, like from a writing standpoint, production standpoint, the acting is great. The music choices are outstanding. Having a bunch of new music is so smart.
Yes.
And not only that, it's really good music. You got all kinds of talent in this working at scale or working at but it's not even that these actors have small amount of lines. It's that they're on set all the time.
Yes.
Because all these Kens and all these Barbies are in the background.
Yeah.
These are famous-ish or whatever actors in the background. They were on set all the time, and yet they weren't speaking. They were just sort of there. When you have that kind of buy-in and that kind of passion for it, it shows so much in this movie. It is arguably the best movie of the year. In terms of enjoyment factor, for sure. It's easily the most rewatchable film. As much as I love Oppenheimer.
Oh, yeah.
It's a heavy rewatch. I loved everything about it. I've seen it multiple times, and Ryan Gosling is outstanding.
Unreal.
He's outstanding. So that's
what amazed me the most was, I don't know that I can think of a movie that is this subversive in that Greta Gerwig and I think actually most of the women that I've talked to have seen it, recognize the reverence that she has for the experience of growing up playing with Barbies.
Yes.
And what it meant to a young girl for her, as well as in many ways, like a universal aspect of it. And yet as got older, recognizing like the critical lens that you could take to something like that, which didn't hold up to kind of the ideals of the society and all those things. So I don't know that I've ever seen a movie balance it that well, where you have such a respect for, and not in any way like a criticism of what it was like to experience this as a young girl and a girl growing up. And yet such biting commentary, not just towards Mattel and Barbie, but the world at large. And what
Mattel was just a reflection of the societal norms at the time.
It's like just, but she threads it so well with the writing, where it's so respectful and not bashing. To me, I was just amazed by it, and the male lens that this offers. It wouldn't work if it was just a Barbie film.
No,
which sounds super male bashing. I don't want to like it's it wouldn't be as
it would not have been $1.5 billion.
No. But the way you can handle the stories of Ken's experience and his development, and then Barbie, it makes it so much more universal in terms of the experience. That it'd be well and good if it wasn't that, but because it combines all that, it was one of the best things I've seen in a long, long time. Highly recommend.
Yep.
Highly recommend.
Oh yeah, 5 out of 5 kind of a
It's-
start. Yep, outstanding.
It's a flawless film.
We are going to change things up just a bit here as we continue to come back to an older segment in varying ways. And I really want to try this out, so bear with us. If you are really just here for Elf, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
We are bringing back High Fidelity,
Top 5 side ones, track ones.
and we'll be offering up our top 5 in a theme of some sort that comes up from our subject film. In this case, we are covering Christmas movies, of course, and specifically in Elf, we have Santa Claus. So Tim and I are going to offer up our individual top 5 movie Santas. And we will go back and forth. So start with your 5. We'll go 5 to 1.
My fifth one.
Yes.
Bit of a, deep cut. Father Christmas in Chronicles of Narnia.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Has a small role, but I always think back to, he just shows up and gives the Pevensey kids weapons for the upcoming battle. Like, it's this weird, hey, what up, Father Christmas? Hi, kids. Here's a bunch of...
Here's a sword and
it was such a weird, battle movie anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I love that, oh, here's a Christmas wish? No, here's weapons. It's just absurd. So yeah, that was number 5 for me.
Yeah. Well, I had David Harbour in last year's, was it Silent Night or whatever it was?
Violent Night.
What's that?
I think it's Violent Night.
Violent Night. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Silent Night was the new one by John Woo.
That's right.
Yeah. He's outstanding because it's David Harbour.
Yeah.
And it's I'm not a huge action Santa fan or that kind of stuff, but he's just a badass. Doesn't care about anybody. He's just gotten over the fact that kids need him. He's taken advantage of or whatever. You got to see it. It's actually a pretty solid movie.
I hear it has one of those I can't believe it's that good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I mean,
So
you know what you're getting into.
I have a recent one on that. I had to kind of go with a recent-ish example of Santa, and there aren't many other ones. But
nice.
David Harbour at 5 for me.
My number 4 was somewhat recent. J.K. Simmons, the voice of Klaus.
Yep.
From Netflix's animated film.
I did think about
it.
That
It's so good.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in spoiler.
Ooh,
or teaser for the next episode.
It's one of those where I watched with the kids and I was completely unprepared.
Yeah.
For how heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And amazing it would be. So yeah, he's so good.
Yeah, I have an animated one, and it's specifically because I do like Tom Hanks, and I do think Tom Hanks as Santa, as that version of Santa in Polar Express, is really good. He's just got a very caring mindset to him.
Yep.
Very small role in that for sure, but I have another animated one of Tom Hanks in the Polar Express.
Nice. Number 3, we're gonna actually watch him tonight.
Hey,
Ed Asner as Santa in Elf. I like what he does. It's a very thankless role in the grand scheme of things, but to me, and the minor caveat is the asterisk is I've never seen Bad Santa, so maybe that'd be something where my list would be different.
I was gonna put Bad Santa on here, but he's not really Santa.
True,
he's a mall Santa.
Yeah.
So I was like,
ooh, I like that. Oh, that's a
good
qualifier.
So I was more thinking actual.
Actual
characters are actually Santa.
Okay, so it worked out. It all worked out.
Yeah,
but no, I think Ed Asner as Elf. I think he does a good job with it.
Yeah, stay tuned. So my number 3 is I don't particularly like this actor necessarily, but I gotta say, at least in the first couple, Tim Allen as Santa Claus is very good, and because he's like the unwanted Santa Claus. He doesn't want it. It's but they're funny movies, and I think he does a really good job of portraying that caring that Santa brings to the kids in that role. And I think it's probably a little nostalgia on that one too. So I have Tim Allen in the Santa Claus movies.
That was my second one.
Hey, we flipped it because guess what my second one is? Ed Asner's number 2.
Splitting hairs, it seems
so there we go.
Yeah.
So we can just skip on up to number 1, Tim. Who is your number 1?
I don't know that I could necessarily separate because I've seen the original one time.
I think we're tied on this one.
And probably I would say the Santa, either version from Miracle on 34th Street.
Yep. Do you know their names?
I know Richard Attenborough.
Yeah.
But I don't know the original guy.
Edmund Gwenn.
Ooh.
Yes.
Samsonite.
I thought about making this a trivia later, but I decided not to. But Edmund Gwenn is the only actor to win an Oscar as Santa.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so he won an Oscar for that. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that one.
Which does remind me, I'm not sure I have trivia for this movie. I might double check.
No,
I do. I definitely do. We're good. So I held off on it. Yeah.
They're such a good performance and really, engaging and like the epitome of Santa.
Yeah, there is no better Santa than either one of them. Very different performances, but Attenborough especially would be number one. But
it's really good. Nice.
All right. Well, thank you for sticking with us here. And as mentioned on this episode, we are going to be re-watching Elf. Elf follows Buddy the Elf, who is actually an orphaned human who was mistakenly brought back to the North Pole by Santa as a baby and is raised as one of their own. Buddy doesn't know he is human, despite being double the size of everyone else around him, until finally as an adult the truth is revealed. Buddy chooses to leave the safety of the North Pole and journey to the magical land of New York City to find his biological father. Once in New York, he finds his father, finds love, and discovers a world that is losing its faith in Santa. As Christmas Eve arrives, a lot of you-know-what has hit the fan, but somehow Buddy is the only one that can bring everyone together and save Christmas. The film is directed by Jon Favreau, written by David Birnbaum, and stars Will Ferrell, Zooey Deschanel, Ed Asner, Bob Newhart, James Caan, and Mary Steenburgen.
Yeah.
Mr. Hobbs, it's me on the intercom.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think someone sent you a Christmas gram.
Dad!
All right, let's get it over with.
I walked all day and night to find you.
You look like you came from the North Pole.
That's exactly where I came from. Santa must have called you.
Oh, yeah, sure. He just got off the cell phone with me.
You did?
So, go on.
Go on with what?
Well, are you going to sing a song or something, or can I just go back to work?
A song? Yeah. Anything for you, Dad. I'm here with my dad, and we never met, and he wants me to sing him a song. And I was adopted, but you didn't know I was born. So I'm here now. I found you, Daddy. And guess what? I love you. I love you. I love you.
Wow, that was weird. Usually guys just, put my name in the jingle bells or something.
Our first segment, as always, is Drinking Buddies.
Come on, not my fucking beer.
Where we present the beers we will be drinking while rewatching our subject film. As our name would suggest, we cover 4 beers. Tim will be walking us through our buddies for tonight, so take it away, Tim.
Tonight we have 2 theme beers.
2?
That I'm excited for.
You're excited. Feel these
And
nipples.
the first one, again, sometimes we go through the liquor store and I have a bit of a stretch. And okay, I do.
Yeah.
The royal we. And I saw this and I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
From Loose Line out of West Metro. Plymouth, thank you.
You're welcome.
Buddy System.
Yeah.
It's like, a movie about Buddy System.
Yep.
A hazy IPA, I believe. Yes, it is. And then from Barrel Theory across the river out of St. Paul, Minnesota, their Drippy, which is a kettle sour with mango, passion fruit, coconut, and tangerine. Is that a sour? And then, oh man.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. We haven't had it yet, but
we haven't had it for the podcast. No.
At least, but it's one of those things that comes up. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to get it again. Out of Fair State, Minneapolis, their Spirit Foul hazy IPA, which we'll talk through.
They no longer listed as a collab with Modern Times.
It is no longer collab.
Yeah.
So I think it's just
the first couple times they did that, but that was like, I feel like that's like 8 years ago now.
Yeah, it's a super long time ago.
Yeah, that was the thing, man.
Game changer.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll talk through it. And then I wanted to really try and find like an aged beer that we just, I don't know. For some reason, I was like, I want to find one. And there's a liquor store near St. Cloud that they keep a lot of old stuff. This was bottled in March of 2017.
Wow.
So 6 years, almost 7 years old.
Wow.
Perennial artisan ales out of I don't know where, somewhere in the U.S. They're mint chocolate stout. It's a number 4 bottle, and an ale brewed with cacao nibs and mint leaves. And nothing says Christmas, in my view, like having something minty. So it was my little shoehorned in. I'm like, okay, an old beer. Yeah, I'm excited to try this. It could be a total dumpster fire of 7 years with mint and chocolate, but
sitting in St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Exactly, on a shelf for that long. But we're going to find out. And we do have a backup beer if it's a total waste. But those are our drinking buddies.
Perfect. Thank you. That brings us to the social network.
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
Where we take a look back at the critical and fan reception from 20 years ago. Tim takes point on this. So, Tim, what did the critics say?
The IMDb rating is 7.1 out of 10. Peter Howell of Toronto Star said, Farrell's stone-stupid sincerity keeps the action moving and irresistible despite the story's familiarity. Lisa Rose of Newark Star-Ledger said, a resounding success in the comedy department, but the film tries to warm hearts as well and eventually collapses under the weight of its own sugar plum schmaltz. And Roger Ebert, care to guess what he gave?
I'd say like 3.
Nice, 3 out of 4.
Yeah, okay.
Said Elf is one of those rare Christmas comedies that has a heart and a brain and a wicked sense of humor, and it charms the socks right off the mantelpiece. I thought it would be clunky, stupid, and obvious, having grotesque special effects and lumber about in the wreckage of holiday cheer. Yet in a world grown too cynical, I was convinced this is a good movie, and that's a miracle on 34th Street right there.
Oh, look at him.
He brings it all back.
Look at him.
Academy Awards that year, not surprising, no nominations.
Yep. All right, well, there you go. We are going to pause and rewatch the movie. If you are so inclined, go right ahead and watch along with us. I mean, you're going to watch it anyways this season, so you might as well try it. Give it a try, watch along. But either way, we'll see you on the other side of the break. Here now is Elf.
Let's start with the cover. Picture this. You got,
Dad! I'm in love, and I don't care who knows it!
Buddy, not now. Can you please go back to the pit? I'll come visit you in a little while, okay?
I didn't know you had elves working here.
Oh, boy, you're hilarious, my friend.
He doesn't, get back to the story, please.
So, on the cover above the title.
Does Santa know that you left the workshop?
We're all laughing our heads off.
Did you have to borrow a reindeer to get down here?
Buddy, go back to the basement.
Hey, Jackweed, I get more action in a week than you've had your entire life. I've got houses in LA, Paris, and Vail.
Oh.
Each one of them with a 70-inch plasma screen. So I suggest you wipe that stupid smile off your face before I come over there and smack it off. You feeling strong, my friend? Call me Elf one more time.
He's an angry elf.
Well, welcome back to 20 Years, 4 Beers, where we have just finished rewatching Elf and also have had 3 so far, although I think, have you had some of the 4th?
I did.
All right, well, there you go. I haven't yet to, so I'm going to wait till I'm done with this.
It's like, we realized as we were recording, we're like, it's like every 22 minutes.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half.
We're going to have to pound a new beer.
Anyway, we've had some beers. So, but first, as usual, we jump right into our reaction segment that we call Spotlight.
They knew, and they let it happen!
Where we highlight and discuss our top takeaways of any kind from re-watching the film. I took very little notes, but I do have some.
Sure.
But, Tim, why don't you get us started?
So, I agree. I had very few notes because I've seen it quite a bit.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that, short of maybe Almost Famous...
Yeah.
We watched this many times,
yeah.
So it's hard to call either of these Christmas episodes coming up as like a 20-year rewatch.
Do they hold up? It's like,
right. Like, yeah, we know.
I've watched it quite a few times.
Has shown, but yeah, go ahead.
But if I take somewhat a, not critical lens, but
take a step back.
Yes. So essentially having a tale of a
fable, if you were.
Yeah. Ooh, I will. A fable of a a guileless human raised by Santa's elves changing the heart of a Scrooge variant, if we want to use MCU.
Sure. Yep.
It's a pretty good foundation for a holiday film.
I agree.
Like pulling in these threads of items that would be just kind of out there. It's a good foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And some elements work. Some I'm like, whatever. But I don't have a problem with this movie overall.
No.
Like, there's quibbles, and I have a few to talk through. But overall, it's just nice.
Yeah, I think the difference between this and the next movie we're going to talk about is that the quibbles and the maybe problems you have just get glossed over and you've moved on minutes later. Yep. There's nothing that sticks forever. It's just like, there's nothing about this movie that says like, oh, that scene, skip. There's because the scenes are pretty short anyway.
Yes.
So you don't skip anything. But I actually will say, excuse me, I had to burp. The really commitment to practical effects,
sure,
to this in this movie, as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
For 20 years on, it still is about the same experience as it was 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They do, and it was a conscious choice for them to do this, to have the forced perspective, which is really well done.
It
in
really
this.
is.
And they use the claymation, and they use some puppets early on, like, or, you know, and you go, they did that on purpose, because as time goes on, and I did read somewhere along the way that, like, that was a conscious choice. They said, we're going to do this. It's going to be practical, because the special effects are always going to diminish.
Yeah.
Right. So and I always liken it to the original Star Wars before George Lucas fucked with it.
Yes.
Like, just have puppets. Just have it dates it, quote unquote, but it's never fake looking in terms of like, I already know that's a puppet. It's fine. Yeah. I know it's claymation. It's fine. It's supposed to be fun.
Yes.
Don't force it. Now, Santa's reindeer flying through the air, you got no choice.
Yeah.
And even then, it's not as bad as you would think 20 years on.
It's not
but
bad.
Their commitment to practical effects in this 20 years on is what has starting to even make me appreciate it more, because it's the same experience year in and year out. It doesn't get worse and worse as years go on.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like jarring or kind of like takes you out of the experience of like, I mean...
Oh, I love Polar Express, but I know the graphics are terrible.
Yes.
The animation is terrible. I get it.
Yes.
I still love that story, though.
Yes.
But from an animation perspective, it's only getting worse.
Yeah, that kind of like uncanny valley where you're like, don't do it that much. And yeah, some of the computer graphics near the end with Santa and flying, you're like, bleh, okay, fine.
All right.
It doesn't hold up, but it's not jarringly bad.
It's terrible.
No, but I agree that the commitment to, and you can see them when they're like looking at each other, and you're like, oh, you're not looking at each other, you're looking past each other from a depth perspective. But it totally does work.
But they do a good job with it.
Yes.
Visually, they do.
I agree. So watching it again, and I think I've only watched it really as of late in the past 5-10 years with the kids.
Yeah, as your kids have gotten older.
Yeah, never really like kind of on our own. But the first 20 minutes of the setup is just fine.
Right.
Like it's not slow. It's kind of ha funny, but it works. But thankfully, the movie gets elevated to a next level when Buddy gets to New York City.
Yeah. Yeah. That,
like you just go like, okay.
Fish out of water.
Exactly.
Yep.
Just I would say it's actually probably my favorite part of the film. In terms of that like 5-minute segment when he first gets there. And it is just his inundation with modern society and New York City. And just his like, this is the best thing. And like eating gum off the railings.
The subway railing.
Yeah. It's so gross. And then like the rotating door or whatever. Like it's just so much fun that everything story has to come with it. Fine. But it's like that pure, just fun. that I really, really
Right.
appreciate. And the music choice, and it's just enjoyable because, yes, you take your time to get to, okay, here's the setup. But once it really kicks in,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I know what I'm in for at this point. And it's just very, very enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a ton here.
It's a long debrief. No.
No, yeah, it's just not. I mean,
Did we introduce Spotlight?
yeah,
Okay, sorry.
that's fine.
Not paying attention.
That's fine. I think, and we talked about him, it's kind of fun. This wasn't on purpose, but we started the year with Old School in January.
Yep.
And we talked about Will Ferrell, and now we're ending the year for the most part with Elf and Will Ferrell, and how those of us who remember it back in the day, just a weird skyrocketing style of a year.
Yeah.
If you think of January 2003,
yeah,
Ferrell was popular on SNL. Don't get me wrong. Like, he was super popular,
Yes.
but not in film and hadn't come over to film really.
No.
And he takes Frank the Tank and does a hilarious job in it. We talked about it in that episode.
Yep.
If I recall.
Yeah.
And then he gets his first starring role, and it's in this.
Yes.
And nobody else but Will Ferrell could play this role. I can't.
No.
I spent a lot of the movie trying to think back who could have played this role. And you think of Jim Carrey, but he would have been way too over the top, but who else could have played this role?
No.
To be able to balance the innocence, the quirky and funniness of him, and then also stupidness. I mean, he's like an idiot in a lot of ways from the real world perspective.
Yeah.
But really just sweet, and like he's got heart.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of another actor at that time.
No.
I tried for like an hour. I was like, who else at that time would have maybe been able to play Buddy the Elf? And I cannot think of anybody. Will Ferrell, we talked about it before, is he's a I don't know, a beast of his own or whatever. Like, he is just like a star, and you see it in this, and he is so good in this. The heart is there. He is buying in the entire way.
Yes.
He buys into the bit.
Yes.
As like a 5-year-old, effectively. Yep. Like, I think even I read somewhere that Favreau and Ferrell got the mannerisms from his like 1 or 2-year-old.
Sure.
And that's what they started talking about with Ferrell, and like just how he was a kid or whatever. And who else could have done it? Nobody. Will Ferrell.
Yeah, he fully commits to the role.
In the best possible way, without it being sad or anything like that. No.
Yes.
And
yes, we have an appreciation of, watching him on SNL. It was like, this guy elevates every sketch.
I remember that year. I think we maybe I remember that year when Entertainment Weekly talked about.
I was like, this guy is unreal.
Their new cast or whatever, and they had a whole new cast, and Will Ferrell was in it. And yeah, it was just above and beyond.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
And then, yes, I agree. I mean, I think back to like he was in Austin Powers. Okay. Zoolander. So he was a background guy.
Yeah.
And yes, Old School was kind of the first foray into, okay, he could hold some element of the movie. And then, yes, when Elf came out, it was like, holy cow, this guy unbelievably commits to this. And yes, I don't know anybody else could have carried it like he could have in this.
No.
So yeah, I had that note to him. Like I do love it's like that. I didn't realize that the bookend to our 2003.
I know. I didn't until right now.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
That was good.
Sorry. I also just drank some of that beer.
He's processing the 7-year-old beer. We'll come to it.
Staring at it. Okay.
So,
all right.
I don't want to say quibbles because the movie is.
No, yeah. I mean, what are you getting into here, right?
But I don't know that I need the love element, like the love story.
Oh,
like,
sure. Okay.
It could be like a friendship thing or, not to say budding, but like, a date and like really this guy is that interesting. And maybe it's interesting because it would be such a cynical world, but it's just like one of those elements that I never really felt was, not viable, but just like, I could take or leave it. For a holiday movie, here we go, guys coming in to like trying to get his dad. I was like, that's never really clicked for me.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't click in terms of like the two of them don't really have chemistry. No. Yeah, but if you subtract that out of there, like you want Buddy to be like, I think what works is he starts to see that the world is more than just like North Pole and then like his dad. Like he's starting to see that this is like this is an extension
of broader experience.
Right. And so it expands a lot of that. Without it would have been fine.
Sure.
But I think bringing it in there, especially we see how bad Mary Steenburgen is.
You do need a good singer, sure.
Like you did need a good, at least somewhat good singer.
Yeah.
So maybe you're like, let's just find a singer and make him this like pseudo girlfriend / future apparently wife or baby mama.
True.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, that's one of those like I agree, but I'm also like I'm not going to passionately fight against it.
It's like
because that's what this movie is to me. I used to really not like this movie especially when it first came out. I remember, and it's not that I didn't like Will Ferrell or anything like that. Like, yeah, the more I see it over the years, I think the more I appreciate it, and think some of that is practical effects, and some of that is the understanding that at its core, all it's trying to do is, yes, it's a father-son thing, so that gets us both for sure.
Yeah.
But at its core, it's just about, man, I'm looking at you, Love, actually. At its core, this movie is about love. It's about that sort, and the best Christmas movies are, right?
Yeah.
The best Christmas movies are saying it's Christmas spirit, it's this thing, but it's really about love of the people around you and embracing everybody for who they are and doesn't matter what. And so I think this does a better job than other Christmas movies for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I didn't like it particularly. I didn't consult my journal from 20 years ago, but I remember always being like,
tonight I saw Elf.
Right. I was like, it's fine. Like it never really hit me. But then over the years I've enjoyed it more and more. To where I think, and it won't be on like my go-to list necessarily, but it is like, I usually watch it once a year. Like Matt and I will watch it, and it's fun. It's a great movie. So yeah, it wasn't my. I've never like loved this movie, but as I go on, I'm like, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah. So
more quibbles?
No, that's the only one that I have a quibble on because I mean. Sure, one could say, oh, the cynicism of the world is empowering Santa's sleigh. So what's going to save it? New York City singing a song. Like,
right.
Sure. You can go, oh, but at that point, if you haven't bought into the story, it's like, what do you expect the ending to be?
Yeah, again, we talked about this with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
You don't go into a Christmas movie that features Santa and think, let's bring some realism here.
Yeah.
Like,
let's really ground this.
You've lost this. And so Dial of Destiny, same thing, where you're just like, wait, time travel is your problem? Like, somehow or another of all the other Indiana Jones, that is your problem?
Exactly.
Like, it's a Santa movie.
Yes.
If you're watching a Christmas movie with an actual Santa who is actual Santa, you have, you are foregoing any claim to be like, well, it's not really quite real.
Yeah.
No, okay.
What I was going to say was,
yeah,
I, seeing it again and kind of thinking like somewhat critical of this, I don't know this movie works per se without Michael.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The half-brother.
Relationship with the brother. Yep.
Like, it's one thing to have him, Buddy, come back and try and develop something with a father he's never known, and that father has to be like, who the hell is this crazy guy? Until Michael, the younger brother, half brother, is like partnering up with this guy.
Yeah.
And initially it was like, who the hell got here? And they have the snowball fight. And it's these small things that the movie then has to work because as again, you melt Scrooge's heart.
Right. Yeah.
The mother, or Emily, the wife, is like on board right away.
Yep.
She's like, whatevs, I love it. Like, and I love it.
Because Michael loves it.
Yeah.
Yep. It's doing good things.
It's all good. And then the son has to come along, and it really clicks when, Michael shows concern for Buddy. We can't find him. And the dad has to be like, okay, I have to decide between my work, my empire, my money, all these things, or my family. And when it's like being that choice, you have to have that stronger connection in many ways because Michael is his, the son that he's known for so long. It doesn't work without him.
No.
Which I never really thought about before this watching. It was just like, oh, he's a means to an end person. No, actually, the movie doesn't quite work unless you have a difference in kind where a younger individual who then is the element where he goes in the news, talks about the list, all these things. Like, he has to be that conduit for some of these elements.
Yeah. And I think even James Caan, like, I would have been less able.
Sure.
Lessable. To believe
Lessable.
that him as if he didn't have a kid already,
yes,
he would not have been able to find that connection with Buddy.
Exactly.
Because it would have been foreign to him. He'd have been like, I've never had a kid. I don't know. Like I've been around.
About?
Yeah. What's this about?
Yes.
So Michael is so imperative to this story in terms of, even from a Buddy perspective, to have that, like, remembering of what it was to have the kid and remember, like, to go through that. And then Buddy acts like he's a 5-year-old anyway.
Yes.
So you kind of have that connection. And Michael is absolutely the linchpin to this entire thing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes.
So again, this is not a movie. There's not hidden depths to any of these Christmas movies. That's that's the beauty of them.
Yep.
The simplicity of Christmas movies is actually what attracts people to them year in and year out.
Very true.
I do love. I have two more things I'll say, and then I'm done.
I got one more.
The score by John Debney.
Yeah.
That theme just sticks in your brain. The two of them.
Yeah.
Like the dun 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 dun, and then the main theme.
Yeah.
Right. It's so, and John Debney does a good job of a lot of his other stuff too. Really well done. It's not overpowering, but really good score. I hear that, and it's also, exactly, there has not been a score since then that even comes close to this. I hear those two themes.
Yep.
That's Elf.
Yeah.
Nobody's even tried to copy it.
Yep.
Right? But I'll just say possibly the greatest movie callback in history is in this film, which is the Jack in the Box late on in the movie when he's fixing Santa's sleigh, and then that Jack in the Box just pops up again from earlier in the movie.
Yes.
It is just, it's not a big deal. It just sort of pops up. It's one of the best callbacks. They don't even do it like they do the cab thing throughout, right? He gets hit by the cab. He almost gets hit by the cab. The yellow ones don't stop.
Yes.
Like there's like ongoing things, but this one is like, in the beginning, he's sitting there testing out the Jack in the Box, and then it doesn't really come back again until all the way at the end, and it's just perfectly timed. I love it.
It's good. It's good. So I have a special memory from this movie.
Ooh.
Where I saw it when I was living in Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
And I've talked about it in different episodes when I was there. And I went to go see it, and truly nothing shows to me the core message of the movie where like cynicism is taking over, where the movie was stopped because a literal fight broke out.
Oh, I think you've told me this before. Yeah, continue.
In this movie where it was probably 2/3 the way through, and they had to stop because all of a sudden a ruckus breaks out behind me in the, I can remember, in the right, and like people were like having a fight Like
Donnybrook
they
broke out behind you?
Fell down the stairs. And I was like, what is happening? It's a Christmas movie. Like, what are you doing? Like, so they had to stop. Like, the movie, like,
yeah,
like,
back when they were on reels.
Yes.
Yep.
Stopped it. They had to, like, the whatever, like, people came in, drug the people out. And then the guy comes in. He's like, really sorry. We're going to start up again. Thank you. It's like, we'll go. So the movie comes up. But I always think of Elf when, you know, Santa's like, oh, the you know, people don't believe or the cynicism of the world. I'm like, yeah, a fight broke out of all the movies that would come out. This was apparently some issue. I mean, whatever, assholes. But, and hey, I got my money got back. I got like refunded.
Yeah.
Didn't know.
Okay.
Like credit card, cool. After the, but anyway, I love the fact that people were so pissed off. Got a new pantsuit. So yeah, I always have that special place in my heart for
so
Elf.
Great.
Yep.
I love it. All right.
That's all I got.
Yep. Again, no hidden depths to this movie. And I think that's the joy of it.
Yes.
Which is great.
If you haven't seen it, how do you decorate the cave in which you live?
Come on, at this point. All right, so as we close out our spotlight segment, we come to our final takes called The Verdict.
I'm going up there, I'm going to try it, I'm going to let the jury decide.
This is where Tim and I give our final verdicts after watching the film and decide whether or not the movie held up over the course of 2 decades. You or me?
You can go.
Was that a you can go?
You can go, please.
Okay. Good, because it's pretty short and sweet. All right, my verdict. Elf is exactly what you want from a Christmas movie, in my opinion. A combination of belief in something greater than us, the magic of the season, and love overcoming any obstacle, just as almost any great classic holiday film will feature. Add to that a perfect performance from Will Ferrell. Arguably, quite frankly, to this date, his best.
Yes.
And one of the best Santas put on film in Ed Asner, as we both discussed earlier. And you have such a fun and funny film. Everyone should and does now watch Elf every year. And to me, it's a 4 out of 5.
Nice. The comedic fish out of frozen water.
Heyo.
Elements of the story work through the unflinching commitment from Will Ferrell, who indeed is just unbelievably perfect. And while the movie is struggling at time when trying to cover maybe the weightier elements of it, overall, it's just an absolute delight. 4 out of 5 for me. Exactly. It's just what I want of holiday. Throw it on and enjoy.
Right. Yep. All right. Well, with our reactions to the movie out of the way, we move on to our reactions to our beers that we drank or are currently drinking. So that brings us to our beer reaction segment that we affectionately call Drinking Buddies, the sequel.
Let's get weird.
Where we take a look back at our beers and give our expert drinking ratings. Tim's going to bring us back. So what do we got?
So again, we crammed in 3 and now 4 to a very tight window.
Oh, yeah.
One of the drawbacks of an hour and a half movie.
That's true.
First off, we started with Buddy System from Loose Line. Their hazy IPA with Citra and HBC 586.
I love it.
Whatever. It is.
Love it.
It's like you're just throwing out. It's
HBC 586?
Yes, 586.
Sure. Yep.
That's the special one.
Yep.
It's the Mad Libs of hops.
Well, it's like, yeah.
It's a 3.5 for me.
Ooh.
It was a nice
3.5?
Yeah, 3.5. It was a nice, but it wasn't anything amazing. It was at first I was like, ooh, kind of like, eh. But it got a little better as I had it. But yeah, I would say 3.5. It was just, it's a fine option from them. I've had better out of Loose Line, but yeah. I've had better the Loose Line. Hey?
Yeah, I did better.
Yeah, 3.5 for me.
So I initially started out at a 4.25.
Ooh.
And then I dropped it based on what came after it. I have a 4 out of 5. I mean, maybe part of it is because I'm always hit or miss with Loose Line.
Yeah.
I think they certainly can make really good beer. I found it to be crushable, and it had a good flavor to it. So I went 4 out of 5.
Good. And then we had Barrel Theory out of St. Paul. Their Kettle Sour, drippy,
drippy,
with mango, passion fruit, coconut, and tangerine. Which it's funny when you poured it out, it was kind of like, there's not much in this, more of a kettle sour. And then the bottom dropped out. And then it was like, oh, there's a lot of stuff going on with this.
Yes.
Very pulpy, very thick. It was more like a smoothie sour without like
thick,
really
thick
saying
in
it.
actually a good way.
Yes.
It was like, I mean, you often say like, oh, this is like thick.
Glop,
like,
glop, glop, glop.
right. No.
It was very good. I had a 4.25.
Yep.
It was really, really
Same
good.
rating. I thought it was fantastic.
I was like, hello.
Easily the best sour I've ever had from Barrel Theory. Because I've only had a couple because they're so IPA heavy.
And I was thinking the kettle sours to me are usually like much more clear.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. But like whatever they put all the stuff in there, it was really,
Did you get that
really
at France
damn good.
44th?
I did.
Okay, good.
Yes.
There's future reference
Yep.
for when
Check it
I
out.
go to buy it again. Because I like coconut in a lot of things when it's used
right
in the right way.
Yes.
And this is exactly what it was.
It was super subtle.
Oh.
Not overwhelming. Very good. And then we had probably, like, in hindsight, one of the like game-changing hazy IPA beers.
You and I have had two major beer, not brewery, but specific beer moments.
Yes.
And that is this.
Yes.
And out of Lupulin, Blissful Ignorance.
Yes.
When that first was discovered. And it was like, what am I drinking right now?
How did
We've
this...
had brewery experiences that we
Yes.
talk about, but specific to beers.
Yes.
We knew Fair State before, and we love the Winkleman, but Blissful Ignorance and this, to me, are the two like specific beer memories I have.
Where it was like, this came out, and it was...
You were driving around town to find it.
Couldn't find it, because Fair State partnered with Modern Times.
Yep.
Out of San Diego, which we loved.
Yep.
And they've kind of fallen apart. But
Yeah, they're still good, but yeah.
Fair State itself, and they now release it just sporadically. Spirit Foul, and it was a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of hazy IPA, and so it's a super juicy tropical hazy IPA with Strata and Mosaic hops. To me, it's a 4.25. I haven't yet had a batch where I'm like, meh. It's just solid.
I remember, I will say, I remember a faint memory of like the third batch where we were like, something was different
Really?
about this.
Yeah.
Like it was just something was whatever up. But I agree. And I think my appreciation for it has gone up.
Yeah.
As the consistency has stayed there. And it's
True.
just been, yeah, so I was at Casanova Liquors in Wisconsin, and I didn't buy it there because I was like, I'm not going to buy it here when I can buy it at home.
Yep.
That just seems weird to me.
Yep.
But I got to get back out there and find it because it's always the same. I also have 4.25 out of 5.
And then
I can't wait to talk about this, actually.
So then we had a theme beer, mint chocolate stout, perennial artisan ales, aged almost 7 years. a little under. I don't know what to make of this.
Yep.
Because I will say I like it.
Yeah.
It's a 4.25 for me for the style. It's really interesting because the mint, I don't know if it's like been subdued over time. It's there. Oh, sorry. It's St. Louis.
Absolutely there. But it is in St. Louis.
But it's not overwhelming or crazy, but it's 10%. And the chocolate, a little bit, but I've never had a beer this old before, and it still is good. I was expecting like, I don't know, just crappy, but
pour a little bit more out for yourself.
Yes.
And I
so when you had it, when I was
take-
talking, you were like,
because I agree, you don't taste much chocolate,
You
but
can
now take
smell
a
it.
drink and think of an Andes mint.
yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I was staring at it like the stout
Right?
is terrific.
Yeah.
But
It's
it
really
tastes
good.
like a liquid Andes mint. Because
7
you don't
years later.
taste the chocolate in that scenario.
True.
You do taste the mint.
True.
But it's the chocolate is meant to be like this complementary thing that reduces the
Right.
mint, sort of like overpowering, because neither one of us like mint. We've had other mint beers in the past, like, it's fine.
No.
I don't like brushing my teeth for that reason. Like, it's just, this is outstanding. I have a 4.5 out of 5.
Nice.
Specifically because again, it's aged so well in 7 years. We didn't have it right away.
No.
I get it. I don't like mint. So from a flavor perspective, I'm at like a 4 like there.
Sure.
But from an overall experience, like that sort of like, I'm literally drinking an Andes mint.
Yeah.
It is
and like
perfectly balanced.
Yes, exactly.
Thing. And so I have to give them credit for that. Despite maybe I don't love mint and I don't taste chocolate, I have a 4.5 out of 5. I'm severely impressed by this.
I was like, please be okay. And it's really
Based
good.
on, I don't know how much you spent on it, but yeah, you're like
reasonable amount.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like $12 or whatever.
Yeah, this would be like, to me, I would have no problem buying this annually.
Yes.
For like a Christmas beer.
Yep.
Like
it's
none for this amount. Like, not, I mean, you want to share it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like,
mint does get old pretty quick.
The bottle is half full and I'm going to keep it for tomorrow. But yeah, it's very, very good.
All right, our final segment of the episode is Quiz Show.
The exciting quiz program, 21.
Where in our research for the film, we find some interesting trivia nuggets that we hope will stump the other and possibly intrigue you, our dear listeners. I guess I did end up with a good amount.
Ooh.
I could get to 5 if I wanted to.
I have 3.
Yeah, I would say I probably have 3 because one of them's very easy, even for your small mind. So why don't you go first?
So we didn't even talk about him, but 2003 was a good year for Peter Dinklage, who in this plays the dwarf, I guess we'd call him. But he's seen as an elf by Buddy.
A little person?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
He would have a small, no pun intended, role in this film. Haha. But also his breakout role in the same year in what indie dramedy from Oscar-winning writer and nominated director Tom McCarthy in his directorial debut.
Is that The Station Agent?
It is.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
It's a great little movie.
It's one of those like, you look back and go,
intended.
It's such a good movie.
It is really good.
Nice.
And also Peter Dinklage is just always good.
He delivers every time.
Yeah. And you want to say like, unfortunately, it's probably because he feels like he has to, given the situation.
True.
But he delivers every time.
But like,
he's so good.
How do you think they sold it to him? Like Jon Favreau's like, hey, Peter, so you're going to come in and you're going to get mocked.
Yeah.
Left and right because Buddy's like, hey, you're an elf.
But you're going to stand up for yourself.
But can you just like kick his ass? Is that cool? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Nice work.
Thank you. All right, Tim. So did you know that Gimbels was actually a real department store?
I did not.
In the Philadelphia area where screenwriter David Berenbaum grew up. It was actually the sponsor, Gimbels was actually the sponsor of America's first ever Thanksgiving parade.
What?
Care to guess what year?
Oh,
the first ever Thanksgiving parade in this country existed, sponsored by Gimbels.
19.
So far, you're good.
49.
20.
Wow.
In 1920, the first ever Thanksgiving parade was in Philadelphia, sponsored by Gimbels.
And Mace's like, we're doing that. Suck it, Gimbels.
Yep.
Wow. 1920.
Yep.
That's really good.
Yep.
I'm thoroughly impressed by that. Wow.
Yeah, I was a fan of that trivia, actually. I was like, okay. All right. There
That's
we go.
a great trivia.
Yeah.
So James Caan.
Yep. Godfather. Sorry. Continue.
Passed away last year.
Yes.
After a storied career, including roles in, as you said, The Godfather, which I hear is a good film series.
I swear to God, dude.
I've yet to experience.
I want to watch it with you.
We'll get back to it. Misery, Honeymoon in Vegas, Eraser, to name a few. Oh yeah,
It went downhill from starting a Godfather.
I know. It definitely was like you peaked and then it. Yeah. Yet he had an opportunity to co-star with Hugh Grant, who's a major actor from our Happy Hour film, Love Actually, in what 1999 mafia romantic comedy with
God.
Gene Triplehorn.
I know. I can like picture the cover
You can see
and
the-
everything. Oh man, that's gonna piss me off when I hear it. It's like, isn't it like the mob boss's daughter? Or
It is.
Is that what it is?
No, that's not the movie, but he is a mob.
Yeah, but what's the name of it?
Mickey Blue Eyes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll give myself a loss for that one, but I can picture the stupid. Wow.
Hugh Grant right there with her and him. Yep.
There you go.
Nice.
I'm a super big fan of this one because you mentioned it. So Faison Love plays the Gimbals manager.
Yep.
Do you have this one
No,
somehow? I was like, yeah.
I've seen him.
So Faison Love, who plays the Gimbals manager, obviously, and is also big worm in Friday.
1920.
Yeah. Okay. He is. So he plays the manager in charge of Santa's Village. We are never told his name in the film, right? But we do see a name tag.
Oh God!
So he was actually a last-minute replacement for an actor who had to drop out of the role. But we are left with a major clue as to who that person was, because Faison Love insisted on wearing her name in the role anyways. First off, can you name the original actress who was supposed to play the role? And if not, I can give you the hint, but you also have, what was the name on the tag?
We talked about it, and I've forgotten it. From
Wanda.
Wanda.
Why is Faison Love wearing Wanda?
Wanda Sykes?
Correct.
That's so amazing.
He insisted. It was a last-minute replacement. He insisted on keeping the name tag.
I love that so much. Because I was like, why is his name
Why
tag?
is Faison Love Wanda?
Like, Wanda.
Correct.
I was like, if it's Rosie Perez, I'd be very disappointed.
Yeah. Twist.
Yeah.
Julia Roberts.
Curses. Wow, I like that.
Yep.
That's a really good. Wow.
Yeah.
So, John Debney has composed, as you said, for this movie, many films that you've heard of, but maybe couldn't really recognize the music from, including Hocus Pocus, Emperor's New Groove, Sin City, and Bruce Almighty.
Ew.
Yet he did receive one Oscar nomination for original score for 2004 biblical drama.
Oh, yeah, Passion of the Christ.
Yep.
Which is a terrific score.
Incredible score.
That score is
unreal. How good it is. But yes.
I swear to God, I almost said I will die on the cross for that.
I mean,
I will die on the cross in defense of that movie.
Dude, I'm going to pee my pants. Oh my God, it's hilarious. Oh God.
Because that movie is very well done. I mean, overall, it's very well done.
I agree.
But that score is outstanding.
Yes.
Wow. It wasn't on purpose. I was literally just off the tongue. Like, I will die on the cross for that score.
That's good. Yikes.
Is that your third one?
That's my last one.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I do have a couple of just somewhat maybe easy ones.
Okay.
The elf Ming Ming, who shows up early in the film and gets to deliver the wonderful line, "You're not a cotton-headed ninny muggins."
Yeah.
The boss, basically, is played by an actor who is no stranger to Christmas classics. Can you name the actor?
Oh, gosh.
And what 1983 film?
Christmas Story.
Correct.
But Peter Billingsley.
Yep, that is correct.
Yes. Yeah, but yeah, he shows up in, he's even in
he's
Iron Man.
He's in Iron Man. He's
Yes.
also in Spider-Man Far From Home, because same character,
That's right.
but just
Same
later
character,
on.
yes.
Yep.
But yeah.
Apparently he's good friends with Favreau.
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Anyway. There you go. Well
Good.
done. Here's an easy one for you, Tim. Mary Steenburgen plays Buddy's stepmother in this film, which is funny because 5 years after this movie, she would play Will Ferrell's biological mother in what 2008 comedy?
Oh, Step Brothers.
That's right.
That's right.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so that will bring us to the end of the episode. Stay tuned for upcoming Christmas happy hour on another holiday quote classic in Love Actually, and for upcoming end of our year episodes on the on the Best Picture of 2003, The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, and our year-end Oscar episode. Be sure to find all of our previous episodes on your favorite streaming platform. Find us on the internet via the metaverse of Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, and head to 20years4beers.com for more info. We want to say thank you for taking the time to listen and for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. This has been 20 Years, 4 Beers. My name is Steve.
I'm Tim.
And thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Like
a Donnybrook broke up behind you?
Fell down the stairs.
Even for your small mind.
I love that so much.
I swear to God, I almost said I will die in the cross for that.